Kamala Harris was asked sort of a tough question on Univision, for goodness sakes. Univision, a very leftist television station. She was asked a question about this immigration issue, and she couldn't take the heat, and she snapped.
¿Cómo le responde usted a él?
I've said I'm going to go to the border. And
When are you going to the border, Vice President?
The administration has asked... I'm not finished. I've said I'm going to the border. And also, if we are going to deal with the problems at the border, we have to deal with the problems that cause people to go to the border, to flee to the border. And that is the root causes. So my first trip as Vice President of the United States was to go, in terms of a foreign trip, to Guatemala, to be on the ground there, to address and to be informed of the root causes. Why are the people of Guatemala leaving?
Do you have a date? ¿Tiene una fecha para su viaje a la frontera para ver la situación con sus propios ojos?
I will keep you posted.
I will keep you posted. I love it. Good on this reporter, because everyone's been asking, hey, Kamala, you're on this Guatemala trip. You're apparently in charge of immigration now, because Joe Biden wanted to toss you right under that bus. You remember that bus that you said brought black students to white schools that you said Joe Biden opposed because Joe Biden's a terrible racist? And that, you don't remember that bus? Well, you're throwing you right underneath it, because I think there is no love lost between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And he gave her an impossible job, and she's failing at that impossible job in a spectacular way. So she goes to Guatemala, and she's asked this question, when are you going to the border? And her answer, well, I'll go eventually. And the reporter says, yeah, give me a date. And I'm not finished. That's Kamala's favorite line. She thinks this plays well. I don't think this plays well. I think this plays well with very angry, single feminist women. And that's, I guess, the Democratic base. It's a big part of the Democratic base, but it's not a huge constituency. And to the rest of us, this just seems so shrill. It seems unprofessional. It seems deceptive. She obviously just doesn't want to answer the question. And then this reporter doesn't back down. Good on her. And by the end, she goes, give me the date, Kamala. And Kamala goes, well, I'll keep you posted. She doesn't care. It just doesn't matter. This might be bad for her political career, but for the broader power structures in the country, it just doesn't really matter. The trip was not a huge success. The way you know this is because it is being reported in CNN that White House staffers think it was a failure. Now, I just went on a long rant about how I don't believe things that are in CNN, but I want to make sure we're specific here. There are different ways of covering stories. Okay? When CNN, a leftist outlet, covers a Republican president like Donald Trump and quotes anonymous White House staffers, I generally don't believe it. I'm not saying it's never true, but my inclination is not to believe it, because I know that those two organizations are adversaries. CNN is out to get Trump. Trump is out to get CNN. So I just don't buy it. When CNN is reporting on the Biden White House, I'm much more inclined to believe it, because CNN and the Biden White House are not adversaries. They're partners. They're on the same team. And so when CNN is reporting something from the Biden White House, it is because Biden wants to send a message. And the message is being sent to Kamala. The White House staffers believe that she looked ill-prepared, according to this report, and that her bad answers overshadowed this sort of thing. It's really worth pointing out when we're talking about how to judge propaganda that comes out of the government or out of the big corporations or out of the media. They're all kind of part of the same thing. There simply are different standards of judging these places when they're talking about Democrats and when they're talking about Republicans. Just like there's different standards when we're talking about a BLM terrorist versus a Capitol rioter, there are different standards when we're talking about Democrats and Republicans here being covered. If you do not ring that bell, subscribe to this video, then YouTube will render me speechless, which is coincidentally the name of my upcoming book. It's going to be released in 11 days, Speechless, Controlling Words, Controlling Minds, which is available now for pre-order. You got to get those notifications. You got to make sure you don't miss a video. And head on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Gmail, Hotmail, AOL, Instant Messenger. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles Show audio podcast. Leave a 5-star review. We'll see you next time.